There's three reasons why you should work with Jamie and hire him and trust him as your realtor. The first is that he is a subject matter expert in his field. Every aspect of the real estate journey, he has a very comprehensive understanding of. Two, Jamie was an educator in his past career, and he's a father. And I have felt like throughout my journey, Jamie is really patient, determined, and good at educating you about the process of real estate, which is very complicated, and is empowering through the process. It's a very tough market right now, and I've really appreciated Jamie's level of empowerment. And then lastly is his level of personability. I think we're all human beings at the end of the day, and to be able to go through negotiations and also form relationships with listing agents and the sellers themselves, the neighbors, has been key in me now forming good relationships with my neighbors, knowing the seller right now, knowing the listing agent who is a surfer, and I'm now going to go join her surf club, has really been key to me enjoying the process and also having a level of trust in Jamie and that everything was going to work out. And there's four aspects of Jamie's trust that I would love to talk about. The first is there's a lot of liability in the contract, and through Jamie's careful consideration to every detail and constant communication with me, that enabled me to trust him, because my mother's also a real estate agent. And in talking with her, I was also able to recognize how complex this deal was. And it instilled even further trust in me with Jamie. Two, and I kind of alluded to this already, but Jamie's level of subject matter expertise. I just always felt like no matter what the topic was, whether or not we were talking about some of the details of the inspection and I had questions, or we were talking about the conversion to a condo from an apartment, Jamie always either knew where to direct me or how to answer my questions. Three, at my apartment, my condo, where I live now, and in some of the showings that I went to see with Jamie in the past, I knew I could trust Jamie because I didn't always hear him selling me on a place. I sometimes heard him saying, like, I don't really love this for you. Or if this can't be fixed, I don't think that you should move forward with this. So because Jamie was selling, but he was also recognizing what I liked and didn't like, and also what would be safe and not safe for me, that helped me trust him even more. And then I think just the last thing was, in my current unit and some of the places that we went to see, it wasn't just about looking at the particular townhouse or condo. When we left the unit, there were a couple of times where Jamie actually stopped and talked to some of the neighbors to get a better understanding of the neighborhood and some of the structures that were going up in the surrounding area. And his willingness to go the extra mile just made me really trust him. And I think that you shouldn't hesitate to trust Jamie.
Jamie's just about the most open, adaptable, transparent communicator as they come. I wouldn't have wanted it ever any other way. Jamie, I work like a 50-hour work week, and I have a pretty intensive schedule. And I feel like Jamie was able to adapt to my working style, whether or not that needed to be, he called me to follow up on a question that I had. He texted me to communicate availability. We had several Zoom calls with the owner and with one of my new neighbors to make sure that we were aligned on negotiations and what would happen in the future. And I think also what I liked about Jamie is he knows how to use Google Docs, and not everyone that I know knows how to use Google Docs. So when we were working through punch lists and negotiations, Jamie always had a clear plan in Google Docs, and I would follow up with my questions and annotations, and we would have a back and forth communication there. So I could go on and on about Jamie's communication, but it was really easy to work with him because he is good at using a lot of different tools and was able to adapt to my working style. Jamie was key in supporting my learning curve throughout my journey of purchasing my first ever condo. It really didn't know anything about the real estate market before I started to undergo this process. And I remember in my first conversation with Jamie, he prepared me well for what it would be like to be writing an offer where I would potentially be in competition with 50 other home buyers in this crazy market right now, still kind of during the COVID era. And even before I told him that I was super interested in buying a house, he coached me on what the process was like. And we started to set up just my level of expertise and started to get pre-qualified for a loan so that when I did see something that I really liked, I would be able to hop on it rather quickly and I would be good under pressure. And I think, especially because Jamie's a teacher and a father, he was very patient with every question that I had during the home purchasing process and through every step in the journey. And there are so many steps. We would approach each step with patience and with time for Jamie to kind of explain what each step was, whether or not that was getting my loan or going through the different steps and the contingencies. Every step along the way, I was coached and educated and re-coached again and again because I had so many questions. There were some concerns that I had and about the contract and about the structure and about just the neighborhood in general. And there were some things related to cutting down the neighboring bamboo so that I would see my neighbor's backyard rather than seeing the beautiful bamboo around me, or the roof that I was concerned about. Jamie helped me secure 3 inspections because after each inspection, we noticed a couple of things that warranted a subsequent inspection. And then each inspection led to some aspects of the contract that Jamie worked to negotiate, such as fixing termite damage and also fixing the roof, which were huge negotiations for the contract. And if you do hear any noises above me, that is because the roof is currently being fixed. So that's all thanks to Jamie, who worked on quite a big contract negotiation for that roof that covers, I think, about 1,300 square feet.
I think the last time that we came and saw the condo that I'm now living in, Jamie was wearing some really funky socks. And we all asked him why. And it turns out it was his birthday. And we were, I think, doing a final inspection on his birthday. So we all laughed about it and said happy birthday. And that was memorable for me.